Blessed celebration of Nityānanda Trayodaśī. Today wanted to share a few reflections, a few birthday gifts to the table for us to ruminate on, for us to reflect on what do we actually celebrating, how to participate in a celebration for the best possible reasons, to find the best possible reasons to celebrate life, or to speak of a particular date that is officially labeled as a celebration. We want to be part of that in celebration for the right reasons. So I'll share a few of which are my best possible reasons to embrace the celebration of Nityānanda Trayodaśī. And of course, today we are celebrating the appearance in this world of the divine descent, avatar of the sweet absolute in his form, Nityananda Prabhu, the Supreme Lord, Supreme Master, in his all blissful Nityananda, perpetually ecstatic expression. And as we will see, very much connected to the idea of unconditional love and deep, intense, indiscriminate mercy. So, Sanatana Dharma traditions we naturally take for granted. We are dealing here with the infinite, so there are infinite faces to the divine. Let's not become sectarian. Let's not fight about only one name, only one God, only one scripture. God can manifest in so many ways. So one of those is Nityananda that we are celebrating today. And of course we could speak about Nityananda, Nitai, abbreviated form of Nityananda. From many perspectives, from many angles, we are dealing with the infinite here, so we could approach it from infinite perspectives. We could talk about Nityananda's ontological perspective, his tattva in Sanskrit, his leelas, his divine play, how his ontology plays out in motion. We could study the different names attributed to Nityananda and the qualities included therein. We could go through the markings of the soles of his lotus feet, etc. Endless ways to address and try to honor and try to praise the divine, the unlimited one. But today I felt inspired, as I usually get inspired to do in the day of Nityānanda Trayodaśī, to approach the principle of unconditional love, or as I like to call it, and as I will be calling it in my next fourth book, irreversible grace, the principle of irreversible grace that Nityananda embodies. We are generally accustomed to hear about irreversible damage, but what about irreversible grace? The grace that once it's there, it's given, there's no way to taking it back, taking it out. Like when you have the toothpaste, the paste goes out of the toothpaste, the tap, you cannot put it back in. So, irreversible grace. So Nityananda Prabhu is one of many great characters of this unique drama of divine love that we call Gaura-līlā in our Gaudiya Vaiṣṇava tradition. That is all about irreversible grace, all about compassion, all about indiscriminate distribution of divine love. We call this in Sanskrit audārya rasa. That's the mood. That's by the frequency in which all the participants of Gaura-līlā are vibrating in. Audārya, generous dispensation of madhurya, of the sweetness and of the intimacy of divine loving interaction. So there are different main characters in Gaura-līlā, sometimes some of the main characters, the top 5 of Gaura-līlā, if you want to use it, that term, sometimes it's called the Pañca-tattva. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas. By extension, Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. In potential, all of us being part of it. But let's stop for a moment these 5 main characters and how each of them, in their own way, from their own place, they are bringing a contribution which is all made of audārya, utmost generosity. Mahāprabhu himself, of course, Sri Chaitanya Dev is known as this Mahavadanya avatar, the most magnanimous, generous form of the divine, experiencing the deepest, bottomless ocean of love, and by extension, distributing that out of himself, overflowing in that. But for this to happen, first we have Advaita Acharya, another important, crucial member of the Pañca-tattva, witnessing the suffering condition of the souls in this world and out of compassion calling for the divine descent of Mahāprabhu. So then we have another expression of audārya, of giving and compassion. Then we have Gadadhar Pandit, who is Sri Radha herself in Gaura-līlā, giving her own heart for Krishna's Mahāprabhu to experience it. So another form of audārya, another form of generous dispensation. Gadadhar emptying his heart so Krishna's Mahāprabhu can taste it, be successful in his lila, and then as a byproduct of that, his experience is extended in the form of the gift of the dispensation of Gaura-līlā. So Advaita, Gadadhar, we already spoke about Mahāprabhu, it's all about giving. Srivas Pandit, he, among many things, of course, he's gifting us with show and being an example of the greatest potential of the jiva, the soul, but also he's the owner, so to say, the host par excellence in Srivas Angam, his house. And in that Srivas Angam, that's the main stage upon which the lila takes place every single night on Kirtan and Sankirtan. So Srivas is holding space, literally, hosting the stage. From which Mahāprabhu and his associate would taste very deep, intimate flavors of love. And from that overflows from Srivas Pandit's house and reaches every other direction. And then we have Nityananda Prabhu showing his own unique form of audārya, generous dispensation, taking all that, taking who Mahāprabhu is, what he's experiencing, how that happened by Advaita's call, how that happened by Gadadhar's own generous giving, how that happens by Srivas Pandits hosting, facilitating the stage for the lila to take on. Then Nityananda Prabhu is taking all of that and distributing it indiscriminately, everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. So he's given the most extreme form of charity, we could say, which even may sound like counterintuitive or contradiction to more standard definitions of charity. If we go to Bhagavad-gītā, 17th chapter, verse 20, Krishna himself is speaking there about charity, how proper charity in the mode of sattva or goodness, we could say, is that charity which is given at the proper time, right, in the proper place, and to a worthy recipient. These three conditions should be there for charity, not to be labeled as rajasic or tamasic, no? So given at the proper time, in the proper place, to a worthy recipient. But here, in the dispensation of Gaura-līlā, Pañca-tattva, and this audārya rasa, specifically embodied by the divine madman Avadut Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu, we see that this general definition of charity is no longer operative. It does not work. Because the way he is extending Mahāprabhu's gifts, Mahāprabhu's heart to the world, is contrary to this definition. It's not given at the proper time, in the proper place, at the worthy recipient. It's given at any time, in any place, to anyone. Which we could say that's the actual proper time, proper place, and proper recipient. Ultimately, in the acts of divine love, divine mercy, everyone is a worthy recipient. Every time is the best possible time. Any place is the ideal place to show love, to express unconditional love. So that's a whole new redefinition of what we understand by this verse of the Bhagavad-gītā. So God is surpassing his own guidelines, has given in the Gita, bestowing the ultimate charity, divine love, without any concern for time, place, or qualification, or rather than saying surpassing his guidelines, he's redefining and showing the ultimate depths of them. So the divine irreversible grace is not bound by reason. It's flowing haitukiya pratihata. It's uncontainable. It's flowing like an unstoppable river. It's unconditional, no matter the conditions, time, place, circumstance, recipient. It's unconditional. It can only grow despite the conditions, breaking through all barriers, surging forward without hesitation, without restraint. So all of this is thickly embodied in the figure of Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is a condensed incarnation, form, expression for all of these principles expressed in motion. And here we are as a result of that, as a byproduct of the grace of Nityananda. So there's reasons to celebrate. I won't go to the many names of Nityananda Prabhu, but one of them in this connection will be Kriparam. Beautiful name, Kriparam. Kripa means mercy. There are many names for mercy itself: Kripa, Karuna, Anukampa, Anugraha. Anukampa is a beautiful one. Trembling accordingly. So it indicates profound empathy. You are suffering, I witness your suffering and I trem accordingly, empathically. So Kripa Ram is he who experiences Ram or delight, pleasure in Kripa, in showing costless mercy to others. That's the irresistible nature for the face of the divine we are celebrating today. And we are celebrating how because of that we are here today, being able to say something about it. Again, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, for example, the gift of divine love that Sri Chaitanya brought to the world, and again, which has been primarily distributed by Nityananda, that gift is described as available to all, speaking about worthy recipients, available to all, distributing without considering who was fit or unfit, offered in all directions, not any particular direction being especially favored, and to everyone in every place, going back to the Gita's definition of proper charity. That's charity in the mode of goodness that the Gita is speaking. Here we're talking about charity beyond the goodness, beyond even sattva, divine, transcendental, intoxicated charity. So nobody extended this gift of Mahāprabhu, of Gaura-līlā, as Nityananda Prabhu. Of course, Mahāprabhu is known as Datta Shiromani, the crest jewel of all donors, Mahavadanja, the most magnanimous being, by bestowing the rarest treasure of divine love. But all these titles will be applied to Nitai, who again is the other self of Mahaprabhu. We cannot make them two separate people entirely. We can see one being the natural extension of the other. The natural heart of Mahaprabhu extending further itself to the most unthinkable places and regions and hearts in the form of Nityananda Prabhu. So try to keep that non-dual understanding in mind. Nitai, Nityananda, and Sri Chaitanya are the same person, and our God are the non-dual absolute, Advaya Gyan Tattva. The same way we will say Krishna and Balaram are the same supreme divine, Bhagavan, and Balaram is conceived as the Prakash, or the immediate first expansion of Krishna. So it's God expanded, extended. No? In the same way, Veda, one and different. So in the same way, Balaram, who is non-different from Nityananda, functions as the immediate extension of Mahaprabhu. So all that Mahaprabhu is, he's experiencing and he's extending. The further extension of that experience is given, facilitated by Nityananda Prabhu. Some of the famous cases will be when Sri Chaitanya accepts the order of sannyas. He honors that on a social level, trying to behave properly as a sannyasi, and that includes its own limitations of him not being able to go to certain places at times, because that may jeopardize his campaign. But in complement to that, to get to those places that he couldn't go because of the restrictions of the sannyas ashram at that time, Nityananda Prabhu is going there. Nityananda Prabhu is transcending all social orders. He dresses himself as an avadut, divine madman, and he goes to all those places he cannot go. So in that way, he's extending Mahaprabhu's presence, Mahaprabhu's gift here, there, and everywhere. Again, without consideration of worthy recipient, proper time, proper place. Sometimes we speak about becoming Deshakala Vibhagavit, proper discerners of time, place, and circumstance. But ultimately, the ideal discernment of time, place, and circumstance is not so much where and to whom and when to give the gift or not, but which is the best possible way to always give this gift according to each time, place, and circumstance. So this is the type of holy discernment that is being exercised in Gaura-līlā, and very especially by Nityananda Prabhu. So, of course, one unique expression of Nityānanda Nityananda Prabhu is Guru, the principle of Guru, Akhanda Guru-tattva, the embodiment, as Nityananda's embodiment of this indiscriminate and unconditional love. A bona fide proper Guru should transparently reflect, represent, and embody this same disposition. The willingness to forgive, the willingness to embrace, like Nityananda Prabhu did with Jagaya Madai, the willingness to redeem those who are attacking him, to accept them, to not reject them, to hold space for them. Guru is a space holder. Someone who holds space for those who have no space, for those who are ostracized, for those who feel do not belong, for those who do not know where to go. So especially Nityananda Prabhu's campaign is going that direction, to the outcasts, to the less benefited of society, like many other great teachers, prophets, and avatars in history. So holding space for those who deserve it the least. Nitai Prabhu and Sri Gurudev similarly should embody that principle, whomever happens to embody that agency. Love holding space for everyone and everything and every single situation, no matter how fallen, how broken, how wounded, how anything, holding space in love, creating spaciousness for everyone to belong, for everyone to exist, for everyone to feel there is place for me. Like he would say with Prabhupada, he built a house in which the whole world could live. That's another way of saying that. The universal holding space for everything and everyone at any given time, place, and circumstance. And somehow, of course, this whole discussion finds relevance in a current situation in the Vaishnava community, at least in part of the community, regarding female Diksha gurus and whether women could be initiating gurus or not, which I will say, I hope that after all that we just said about Nityananda Prabhu, the mood of his deliverance, the undiscriminate mercy, how if someone is representing that agency properly, we should address those representatives with an equally undiscriminate mind, so to say. If someone is properly embodying the principle of unconditional love, being a transparent, be a medium, as Srila Prabhupada will say, of divine descent, it doesn't matter in which body you are, which color, which form, which gender. That's totally irrelevant, basically, to the discussion. If we have a deep grasp of what's the nature of Guru-tattva, what's the nature of Nityananda Prabhu's impulse to give grace, we shouldn't even have in this discussion. No, there is no even meaning to have the discussion if we have a proper understanding of the nature of Guru-tattva and how that can happen. Not only the gift of Nityananda and the Guru will be given to any person in any time, place, and circumstance, but we should judge any genuine representative of Guru-tattva despite time, place, and circumstance, and look into the essence of it. So a few reflections in connection to who Nitai is, who Nityananda Tattva is, what Nityananda Tattva is, and in the context of the principle of especially divine love, unconditional love, forgiveness, redemption, acceptance, and how the force of love is always more powerful than anything else, that all obstacles, all oppositions, all suffering, all tragedy, we are living in very complicated times with a lot of suffering, lots of things to grieve. And in the context of all that sometimes may feel like hopelessness, how we can hold space and hold hope, reminding ourselves, love is the most powerful force of the universe. Even when there's the greatest tragedy and suffering, love can always grow more and more in the face of obstacles, in the face of challenges, true unconditional love as embodied by Nityananda Prabhu. So I like to conclude just with one short song composed by Vrindavan Das Thakur to glorify Nityananda Prabhu. I just read directly the translation, English translation of the few verses. He says, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, the son of Rohini. To liberate the fallen souls, he extends his two arms. This is the mudra of audārya, of utmost generosity. With a broken voice, he sweetly stammers. Whomever he sees, he lovingly embraces. Overflowing with prem, divine love, his eyes are always restlessly moving, appearing like bumblebees hovering over the golden lotus. The merciful Lord Śrī Nityānanda knows the sufferings of others. He has strung the garland of the holy names and bestowed it upon the people of this world. He has subdued the sinners and the atheists, yet he has distributed prem to the poor and the humble. Crying out, ah, Gauranga, he falls to the ground. All of Nitai's body becomes soaked with the tears from his eyes. Within his heart, the author Vrindavan Das reflects that Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu is like Mount Sumeru falling upon the earth. It's a beautiful composition depicting not only Nityananda's ecstatic inner world of divine love, but how that translates into the world in the form of deep compassion, as like the verse says, how Nityananda knows the sufferings of others. Let's not forget, most of us listening to this may be connected to the Gaudiya Sampradaya, to the Gaudiya lineage. And the Gaudiya Sampradaya began with Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu. The dispensation, the extension of the gift beyond Srivasanga, beyond a close intimate circle, beyond borders, began with Nityananda Prabhu and eventually crossed the ocean with empowered agents by Nityananda Prabhu. So it all began with Nityananda's campaign of undiscriminate grace, and it continued in the same way through the various paramparas or lineages that stem from the associates of Mahāprabhu, each of them embodiments in their own ways of audārya or indiscriminate grace, as we explained in the beginning. So it began like that, it continued at that, and that's the only way it should and it could continue in any real, relevant, sustainable way today. And we are all parts of that. We all have a commitment to being parts of that. So we are all invited to embody this principle of irreversible grace, unconditional love in one way or another. First, maybe by appreciating it, by realizing the need for that, by being in contact with people, tribes, sangha that may embrace that currency as the only currency in the market, and then by extending that to others. All of that will be our birthday gift for Śrī Nityānanda today on Śrī Nityānanda Trayodaśī. May you have a blessed celebration. Lots of things to celebrate today and for eternity. Śrī Nityānanda Prabhu ki Jai.